Good morning, everybody. We're just letting everybody come into the webinar at the moment, so if you could please bear with us just a couple of minutes.
And good afternoon to everyone on the eastern coast of Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah, a small talk before we get started. It's 5 a.m. here in the UK, and it's a pleasure to join you over there.
We're 2 p.m. in the afternoon here, Kelvin, and it's beautiful. The sun is shining. Well, today it is.
All right, we've got a couple more people coming in.
I was in Melbourne yesterday and it was hot, actually hot. Don't know what Victorians complain about.
And I drove back from the office yesterday, and it's the first signs of a little bit of autumn now. It's the first signs. So I need to get down to Australia. So those of you just joining us at the moment, if you can just bear us a couple of minutes, there's more people joining all the time. So we're just letting those guys in. Just a couple of more minutes, and then the fun will begin. Could go wrong.
Just for the people who are in, obviously microphones are on mute, so there's no background noise. And I'll mention it again, but there will be a few questions at the end, and we'll be sending a recording out to everyone as well.
No rugby-related questions at this time. Thanks very much. Right, I think we are just about there. Coming up to 2 to 3 minutes past. Yeah, we've got a good attendance here. And I think now is as good a time as any. My colleague Daniel here will let other people in as we go through as they join. There's always a couple of stragglers. So, good morning. Without further ado, I figure we'll get started, Matt.
Okay, yeah, I'll just cover off that housekeeping again, so everyone will be unmuted just to minimise the background noise. I'll go through the agenda in a moment. At the end, there'll be some questions, but feel free to note anything down. Obviously, you can send any queries through to myself and Kelvin, and we will send a recording through after the session as well. Kelvin, do you just want to go to the agenda page for me?
Yeah, no problem. So we'll do a quick introduction of who we are, your speakers today. And then we'll also do a very short introduction into Vpress for those of you who don't know who we are and where we come from. We're going to be mapping out the market landscape for you guys. We've done quite a bit of research, working out where things are. And with that, we thought we'd tackle a view of the opportunities that are available to you within the region. We're going to run through a very short system, abbreviated demonstration. This is something that's available to you anytime through Matt or myself, preferably through Matt because he's on the right time zone. And at the end, we'll do some very basic Q&As. This is a very straightforward, simple introduction to the system. So it's not too complex, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. So without further ado.
Okay, so firstly, I'll do some introductions for Kelvin and myself, so you know who we are and where we're coming from. So Kelvin's a co-founder of Vpress and a director since 2001. Kelvin's been at the forefront of print marketing, e-commerce for over 2 decades now. He really is a fixture of UK and European commercial print space, and is responsible for Vpress extending its global footprint to now over 118 countries and used by more than 2,000 corporates to manage their commercial print spend. So whether it's integrating punch-out systems with client ERPs, streamlining workflows, you name it, Kelvin's really had a lot of experience and has fantastic connections to industry leaders across the UK, Europe, and the US as well. So Kelvin's always open to chat about print technology, and yeah, I'm sure would welcome anyone on this call getting in touch with him at any point. Myself, so I've had the privilege of working with some pretty talented people across commercial print and packaging, especially in the technology space, obviously, for almost over 14 years altogether now. I've worked across MISs, so print MIS implementations, web to print, workflow integrations, automation projects, more than I can remember now, to be honest. I've really had a great opportunity to go into a lot of print businesses to understand how they work from end to end, map through workflows, right through from order delivery, from order submission through to a proof of delivery. What keeps me excited is those businesses who are willing to adopt technology to innovate and create new opportunities for themselves. They're always the best businesses to work with. So obviously the people who are on this call fit into that category. I'll leave the introduction to Vpress to Kelvin to go into a little bit more detail, but just to give you a little bit of background and say how I know Vpress. So I came to know Vpress back in 2016. There was a bit of a gap, a noticeable gap in the Australian market for really quality SaaS web to print systems. That were affordable and supported locally. Those of you on the call would probably know that there was a time when there just weren't too many around and available to Australians and Kiwis alike. After spending 2 weeks in the UK with Kelvin and his team, we were extremely impressed with the quality of the product, the development roadmap, the customers. We spent a lot of time speaking to their customers as well, and we were pretty blown away by the operation they were running. So we took that opportunity to represent the product across Australia and New Zealand. And that's what we've been doing since 2016. So, Kelvin, I'll hand it over to you to do a little bit more of an intro to the product.
Yeah, of course. So as Matt introduced there, the company Vpress was founded in 2001. So we were a bunch of guys who worked for a print company, a large print group here in the UK. We were made redundant. It was a tough time in 2001. Technology with the internet hadn't really evolved, and digital printing was very low quality indeed. But coming from the print industry, very difficult finding a role. We saw there was a gap in the market back then for just business cards and stock. And then since then, we've continued to develop the company. We've got a few things a few sort of rules that we follow. We don't have any debt. We don't borrow. We haven't taken any VC interest, which is sometimes shown as a quick way to grow. We haven't gone down the road. It's all been organic. It's all a bricks and mortar business. And for us, it's all about partnering our customers to success. So as I was preparing for this presentation, first 3 customers are still our customers today. And they're still case studies as well. So they've been with us 22 years, so that's something that shows that we've got something right. And it's about having a low cost model that we can take to market. Another one of the principles of the company is we own the technology. It's too easy to use other people's technology off the shelf. So retained IP or intellectual property, it's something that we own. We have our own development team. They're based here in the UK, in sunny Cheltenham. It means we have a huge amount of firepower and flexibility. We could offshore, save a whole bunch of money and do things a different way. But the guys who work at Vpress all go into print shops and actually work out what offset, what digital printing is, what the finishing department does. We give everyone an introduction. So everybody at Vpress knows print. And we think that's really, really important. So currently we've got 3 locations. We were based and founded here in the UK. We've set up office in Cheltenham, which is in Gloucestershire, about 2 hours west of London. As Matt said, when we started working together, it was a perfect fit. So we worked with Matt out of Sydney for the last few years. And then more recently, we've opened an office in Toronto. Toronto is a great gateway into North America. The North American market is about 5 times the size of the UK market. The UK market being about £14 billion. I can't quite do the dollar conversion on that, but it's about 5 times the size, but it's nowhere near as automated. The UK is very automated in its production workflow. And I'm sure a lot of you have seen the kind of technology that's come from that level of automation with the opening of Europe and the opening of Asia into our print markets. So we're very adept at making print jobs more efficient. We're a proven web-to-print solutions provider. I mean, if you guys want a website, we're probably not the company for you. If you want to do something where it's a print application linked to customer engagement, going through into workflow, that's very much our bag. So we really are just a one-trick pony in that print space environment, and we're very comfortable with that. We've got customers in the region. Some on this call today, they were taking advantage of web to print, and we're excited to announce we've got some really nice advantages coming, some updates coming over the coming 12 months. The market is very much changing on the back of everything that we've been through, which we'll cover in a second. Which Vpress by numbers, we've got over 5,000 brands using the software, over 2,000 printers, 250 integrations, upstream, downstream, middleware, working with print management. The system is being used extensively in 118 countries, but we've actually sold directly in about 50 of those countries, sometimes to global print suppliers, and is currently available in 24 languages. However, if you look at the map that's in front of you, you'll notice we've stuck to the English-speaking areas because it's always been a lot easier. So just diving a little bit further into web to print, and there is a checklist of what you need in having a customer engagement tool. I'll cover the reasons on why you would want a customer engagement tool. But when you start looking at what Vpress offer, we're a proven web to print specialist. This is what we do. This is our bread and butter. And web to print by default should have an API connectivity, application programming interface. The internet is all about connectivity now. It's about you connecting to your customers in different ways and connecting to your workflow in different ways to make savings. We've been going 21 years plus, 22 years this December, and we've continued. We were web to print before it was web to print. We were cloud before it was cloud. So we've got quite a good perspective on where things are, and we do embrace that change as it goes through. We class ourselves as integration champions. We know that really web to print needs to connect up to your workflow, your MIS. So we're very open-minded about that. But also the way the customers work, there's some big opportunities in linking into the customers, not just via a website, via an ERP integration, which we'll come over and cover off in a second. We offer great support and development. It's by talking to you, it's by doing things like this, it's by listening to the problems you've got and seizing the opportunities that are in front of you. This is how we grow our business. So this is paramount for us, doing this kind of thing. Mobile responsiveness, having no software when you use web to print. The mobile will come through in a couple of slides. The mobile is becoming the dominant way that people are placing orders on the internet. So web to print has to have mobile connectivity. Fully internationalized. If you've got a customer who wants to work in one language, two languages, if we need to change the spelling of words for their company speak, we can actually do that within the system. And then finally, secure hosting. So we're doing a lot of tenders now. We support our customers with tender activity. And one of the main questions is security, particularly here in Europe. Just over a year ago, obviously, Putin had his plans on doing something not too promising for Ukraine. That's really changed the security landscape here in the UK. And, hosting now is something that companies do have to prove that you can stand up to and be counted for.
Thanks, Kelvin. That was great. Okay, I've got a slide here with some quotes from some of our customers across Australia and New Zealand. So as they're loading up their I want to talk a little bit about some themes that I see when we get some feedback from our clients. There's some very strong themes that come through when talking about benefits of web to print and Vpress specifically. Two of those main themes are automated print ordering that you'll see come through in a few of these quotes. Mentioned the admin processes and overheads around ordering is removed from the printer's perspective, as it now sits solely with the order placer, similar to a self-checkout in a retail outlet. A commonly quoted figure is up to 40% of the cost of a job can be tied up in administration. As someone who works in this space, I can say that's very true, between 20 and 40%, absolutely. And that's in the administration of just getting a job to press. So removing this, particularly for low margin, short run digital work, is absolutely critical. And I've seen this year on year, and I've seen businesses very good at it and businesses not so good at it. But that's where web to print really comes into play. And as Kelvin touched on in the previous slide, integration is key to be able to automate those processes and remove that administration. The other point that you see there in a couple of comments is the 24/7 availability. So the ability to receive orders around the clock, any time of day or night, is not just a trend anymore. It's a requirement. Definitely becoming that way, especially now with a lot of people working from home and remotely and on a project basis. The flexibility leads to the need for a product selection and order placement at any time of day is an absolute requirement. So I emphasize product selection there too, because I think it's something that gets missed and people don't appreciate so much. But for a customer to be able to see their range of products via your portal, to collate those into a group or for a project basis is really important. To prepare them for a proposal, things like that, to be able to get pricing online and put that to their boss as part of a project or a marketing campaign, whatever it might be, is something that I think gets forgotten about. And it can only be done if they've got access to their products and your pricing at any time of kind of day or night, whenever they require it. So those 2 points, those underlying themes we see come back as feedback for web to print users pretty constantly. I'll just move on to the next slide, if that's okay, Kelvin. Okay, so in regards to the Australian market, so looking at these numbers with Daniel and Kelvin was a bit of an eye-opener for me. It's been a little while since I've looked at these numbers, and if you're like me and you follow some of the print media in Australia, it can feel pretty dismal sometimes. So it's great to really get a good understanding of where I guess Australia is at in regards to the print business. Or the print manufacturing sector especially. So we can see there Australia's 6.4 billion and over 4,000 print service providers. I'd say over the years that number has shrunk a little, but not by a great deal. There is still a lot of providers out there and it's employing a lot of people. So we can see the split across Australia and New Zealand. Obviously, Australia's taken the lion's share, but still going strong in both countries. Biggest growth area is definitely labels and packaging. That's not unique to Australia and New Zealand. From people I talk to in the US and the UK, it's the same there as well, which is great. And I know we've got a lot of partners in that space who are definitely seeing the benefits of that growth. Something that's really interesting is about an estimated 55% of print companies have a strong established web to print presence, but only 25% see the benefit of that. And I'll come to that later, and that's a little bit more about what kind of web to print they have available for their customers and what kind of technology they're using and how they're using it. I'll point out now that I guess something I see a bit of a trend of and have for quite a few years, there will be companies that have invested at some point in web to print, and it stayed as a business card portal for one or two customers with maybe half a dozen products. But if you ask them if they have a web to print solution, their answer will still be yes, but they're certainly not utilizing it to its full extent. So anyway, that's something I'll touch on a little bit in the next slide. B2B is 5 times bigger than the B2C market. This is something that's quite interesting as well. And we'll touch on that a little bit more too. Mobile, 59% over 41% desktop usage. So this is a really important stat, I think, and it's a trend that's going to continue. And something that I've seen requested more and more over the years, and it's often customer driven. So end user asks for a solution that's mobile dynamic. They can order, review, get pricing via their mobile rather than carrying around a laptop everywhere, which I think is a point that shouldn't be understated. So there's a few themes behind this that I thought I might raise quickly as well. And I can send out the source for some of this information, but I thought it was worth sharing. Since COVID, we know that COVID changed the landscape a little bit, not entirely, but definitely started to accelerate a few trends that started prior to COVID, and that is a massive increase in online shopping. Verticals such as food, beer, cleaning products, again, leading to that labels and packaging area, has grown exponentially, which is great. increased need for agile supply chains, just-in-time manufacturing, versatile digital print. I've got a couple of clients, some may be on this call, who over the last few years have moved into just-in-time manufacturing. It's got its own challenges, but certainly a lot of benefits. And I see that happening with more and more businesses. There's also the increased focus on sustainability, which has been bubbling away in the background for quite some time. But something I thought was really interesting, and I think COVID definitely accelerated this, was interactive elements especially on packaging, things like QR codes, which Kelvin may have an example for in the demonstration as well. But that's something that's certainly accelerated since COVID. Okay, you want to go through the next slide, please, Kelvin? So again, continuing on with the good news and not focusing on the bad news in the print industry, because there is a lot of good news. I just don't think we hear a lot about it sometimes, become a little bit of an echo chamber. And that is that Australia is a big market. So 12th largest economy, 7.6 billion combined market over Australia and New Zealand. As far as we go population wise, what are we, 0.3% of the world's population, but account for 1.7% of the global GDP. I mean, that's absolutely huge. So anytime you feel a little bit down about the opportunities in the Australian market, I just want you to remember just how big we are, which I think is pretty impressive. We've got a stat there that Kelvin and I spoke about a little bit, actually. There's 76% of people buying online now. And another stat that Kelvin's going to bring up is that 83% of people will be buying online by 2026. Now, there's some really good statistics you can find online now about those trends. What I think is interesting is this next point, 80+% of B2B buyers prefer paying via digital commerce. So not only has the trend continued for more buyers to buy online, and that's end consumers as well as B2B, but that trend is increasing, and there's a preference to do business online, which I think sometimes gets missed or forgotten, that there may be some customers who may not be so forward about saying that they'd like to do business online, but we definitely prefer to have that kind of 24/7 availability and automation of orders and be able to get pricing immediately online as well. Kelvin, did you want to speak a little bit about the ERP CRM now, or do you want to leave that to a later slide?
I'll pivot on to the next slide. We'll do that point coming through, but I will mention about the cash flow opportunity the ERP CRM integration does offer. Yep, perfect. And we've reiterated that 59% of the market on mobile as well. So I think we're higher in Australia than some other markets for mobile usage for buying online. Which again, I've come across some situations over the past few years where clients have had tenders, and in those tenders from their clients, they've specified that the solution, the B2B solution, has to be mobile dynamic. So they're well aware that their sales reps on the road or their consumers, procurement, marketing will be using their mobile for purchasing, and not just purchasing, for browsing, for getting prices, checking orders, things like that. So it's important, really important to keep in mind when looking at web to print technology. So leading on to the four changes in the market, so some really good stats that Matt covered there. And Matt, I thought we did that. We were quite slick considering we're on two different continents, and there were two complicated slides going through as well. Yeah. There's four key things. There's four key things that we've identified. These aren't things that we've just come up with. These are things that have actually evolved in the last 2 to 3 years. So hybrid working now is normal, the new normal, digital transformation, whatever you want to call it. But the ability for people to work wherever, not just at home, wherever they want, is quite standard, and it's here to stay. Not just because we've come out of COVID, but because environmentally it's a lot better. It's a lot better for the environment. It's a lot easier for people. But what it's meant is that the way people approach work, the way we're doing our roles now, has changed fundamentally. So we have 24/7 ordering with 365 pricing now essential. What do I mean by that? So people are working and they're filling in their life sort of their lifestyle around their working roles. So, you do find people working later into the evening, put the kids to bed and just remember to place that print job. And within that, the optimum ordering time for e-commerce at the moment is 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. Now, there's not many printers who work 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. Monday, Friday, but it's about having a system that can engage with your customer when they want to place that order. What we're also seeing is, particularly here in Europe, 70% print now is online. That's not saying that 70% of print now is using web to print, although that figure's not probably too distant from that. It means that people are using e-orders, e-systems, e-purchasing, e-ways of ordering in order to get that print job into the production workflow. Web to print is just one key area of that, and it's only increasing. It's about convenience. It's not about the way that you or I want to work, especially me and Matt, because we've been in the print industry quite a while. It's about the way our customers want to work, and bear in mind they cover different demographics. What we also see of that 70% online now is mobile. Matt touched it there. 54% online here in Europe, 59% in Australia. They're figures we're seeing. South Africa, Italy, India. They're bypassing the use of a PC for ordering because we've got younger generations coming through. Well, why wouldn't they? I'm not someone who's going to order a print job on a mobile phone. However, there's people around us who are. And then there's automation. Automation to production offers huge savings. By not touching those jobs that's coming into the print shop, it means that the actual process is more profitable. If a job is coming in and you're manually touching it, it's going into the studio and you're prepping it for pre-press and you're lining up for the right press at the right time. This is time, this is action, this is money. And that's where some of the savings, as Matt said, 20 to 40% can be achieved on the price of a $50 job that's coming through automation and integration. So it's absolutely key. The argument of should your customer be online so they can access the system, and should you automate on the back end? Those arguments have happened. If you're thinking whether you should do that now, I'll tell you now, it's done. It's done and dusted. And the printers that are surviving now are the ones who are doing that. As we went into COVID, we had customers approach us who really wanted to automate their items coming through because everyone's working from home. And people are embracing this. Around the world, people are embracing this. And then finally, just to touch on Punch-Out, SSO is now a requirement. So Punch-Out, the ability to connect to an ERP system that Matt mentioned in the previous slide, Ariba, Coupa, SAP, these kind of systems. Systems have their own purchasing system. Just like we use the internet, we use Amazon and so forth, customers have their own applications and we can engage with these kind of applications as well. And it did mention positive cash flow because you're paying for working days. There's no invoice reconciliation. It's something not to be scared of. There's a cost to do it. However, once you bridge that cost, you get access to a bigger market within a bigger client. And companies like us are here to help. We're not the only one off the shelf, but there's plenty of others, but we are here. SSO, single sign-on, going for that security aspect. People want more security when they're engaging with web to print. So we fully support that. So just moving on into the interactivity and excitement of the presentation, I'm going to do a live demonstration now and just going to move that across onto my screen. And what you've got in front of you is you've got our standard system. So this is corporate. Some of you have seen it before. This is fully live. I'm here in the UK and I've got a little pound sign up there in the top right. The system is fully mobile responsive. So you can see my PowerPoint behind there. Let me just get that. See, automatically works. There's no such thing as a Vpress app. The system is already optimized. And what we've got as well, we actually have a new user interface coming through, which some of you may not have seen. So I'll just call that up. And here, it's just logged me out. So I'll just turn that one off. But we've got a new user interface coming through where we've actually got a redesign of how the system looks and feel as an option. There's no cost for that. It's just more, there's a convergence between B2B and B2C websites, and we're managing that accordingly. So this is the home page. Like I said, we've got a few options of home pages as we're going through. You've got this very interesting sidebar here. We've got lots of features and functionality that can be used. What we've done over the pandemic is we've added some functionality because we realized that for a customer to place an order on the system, they might need some more tools. So we've had a digital asset manager. This is something as a Vpress customer you get to give to your customers. All about making that relationship sticky with the customer and promoting a better way of working. But we've got a whole host of tools listed there. And we can turn them on or off depending on different clients. Everything is white labeled, so we can take Vpress off. We can amend this top graphic. You don't have to be a computer programmer, and if you're too busy or you don't have the resources internally, Vpress has a team of support people here to help should they be needed. Going along the top of the bar, the navigation, we've got some administration items here. We can change color schemes and themes and settings and downloads and various different things. This is a system that's matured over 21, 22 years. We can manage budget control. We have full e-commerce listed in there and help. And of course, we can log out. And this is my demonstration site. It's just a go-to test platform I can just turn on instantly, and we can cover some products. Now, time is short, and I do like to talk, so I won't cover off the basic products. I'm going to go straight into the more complex products. So by doing that, I'm going to go into marketing, and I'm not going to touch a business card just yet. So going into my test site, got lots of different options here. As we scroll down to the bottom, we've got a vaccination poster here. Some of you may have seen this, but this is a good NHS poster here in the UK. I'm going into it. This is utilizing our dynamic editor. So everything I need is on one page. And the system can work in a number of different ways. We can have it in a guided way or an advanced mode, depending on how the customer wants to engage. What I've got here, I've got a template. I can click on that template and I can just type in Matt. Have you still not had your, not flu, not vaccine, vaccine, type in, can't talk and type, been doing this job for years. So I'm amending the artwork as I go through, and I've got access to change certain items. I'm still on brand, but I can change certain items around the job. I'm editing the template. Got this text box here, can't move it right or left. I can move it up or down and it automatically expands. Obviously, Matt's not 65, he's more like 55. We've got a drop down at the top there, so we can click on that and we can drop in the address so it appears in the correct way. Coming down here, we've got a calendar function. Everybody gets the date function wrong, especially Americans. So what we can do is we can select that, we can educate them to put that in correctly, and we can amend that color as well because we've got permission. We can also manage fonts and various different things from a range. So the template is actually being set up by a principal within the organization. They've told you what to do. Your team, our team at Vpress, we've set in the rules within the actual template. We're updating it as we go through. Everything's staying on brand, including the background color as we scroll through. And of course, we've got asset management here. We've got an image which will only move so far over. We can click on that image. We can change the opacity, so we can manage the parameters, the aspect ratio, and the DPI of the image to ensure it's a print job without too much education to the end user. I can click on select user. I'm going into the digital asset manager. I'm clicking on Dr. Jenkins. It's already optimized. I'm bringing that in. I'm moving across a little bit, and I've just created my poster just to emphasize the color change there. To change it to a different NHS color. I've created a template while I've been talking, which is a very difficult feat for me to do two things at once being a guy. I can zoom in, I can zoom out, I can resize, and I can undo or redo changes that I've made. But I'm happy with that. So I'm going to place an order, give it a name, I'm going to put Matt01, saved it, and I'm going to go to the custom order select page. This is quite standard in Vpress. So as you come through, we've created a template. By scrolling down, we have price on screen, and we get a second visual of the job. We want to just check that that is correct. So when you're ordering things on the internet, you probably don't need to do that. But with something that, once I place the order, this could be on press within seconds. I could place it here from London, and it could be on press in Melbourne within minutes. No problem whatsoever. Specify quantity. So one of the things we mentioned in the slide is having that instant access to instant pricing. That pricing can be built from a whole range of different areas. So it can be built from within the system. We can be pulling the price for the MIS. We can have some price tables in there. And with ERP, the price could be coming from the proprietary application within the customer. And that is a big change that's affecting the print industry. But I'm sitting here, I've got a budget of $1,000. So why wouldn't I buy 50? So I'm getting more bang for my buck from my printer in Melbourne. So the customer is able to make a decision without having to engage someone at 9 p.m. Over in the print workshop. And I'm going to add that item to basket like so. Really straightforward while I was talking about that. But we like to do all different kinds of print jobs. So I'm going to go back into marketing communications. I'm going to go back into that folder, and I've got a host of demos for lots of different options. I've got a really cool little school planner here, just making a video of this earlier on today. So zooming in here. So back here in the UK, people are going back to school. So the first thing I can do is I can change the colour. I can have that a little bit redder there. We can click on there. We can move items of the job across. Can't move it right or left, but we're almost there's an element of the design element coming through, and we can link them as well. So what I can do is I can put Matt Murray, and we can put him into sales. We can come down here, we can change that image down here, we can go into the document and we can scroll through. We can have different layers of personalization. Web to print is not something that is going to replace the creative person driving a map using InDesign or Quark. What Web to print does, it empowers the user to make changes that are in accordance with the brand that's in front of them, if that's been permitted. Here we've got some very simple changes with different fonts here, and we can make those changes when we're following the right rules. And this can all be authorized by someone in the organization before it goes into the print queue. So we can scroll through and we can look at that item, zooming in, zooming out, making changes where it's pertinent to do so. Just to come out of that product and to show you something a little bit more challenging. If we scroll down here, what we've got is we've got data-driven composition. What do I mean by that is, well, in some cases, we have a requirement where a lot of information is being managed within a spreadsheet. So that spreadsheet could be one document that's heavily personalized, or multiple personalization or multiple documents, which we're leading into variable data printing, VDP. But just to show you this, which is a very popular product in our standard editor, we come down here, rather than type on the actual item, we've got some fields as we go here. And I can see it's a menu for a golf course. It's a two-sided item, so I'm going to go straight to the next page. I've got my call to action there, so I can put the Melbourne menu. And you can see the editor works just a little bit of a different way. So it comes through, pulls the change here. Instead of going through and amending all of those fields in one go, what I'm going to do is I will click on that menu option. I've got an Excel spreadsheet. It takes me to the right place in the DAM. I've got a Greens menu spreadsheet. I'm going to select it and I'm going to bring it in. What's just happened with that job? Well, what's just happened is I've just brought a spreadsheet with no images, no text, just data in the correct position, and it's populated that menu. Let me just save that and have a closer look. So I'm going to call that Matt 02. What I can also do is, because I've got the item there, I can look at a PDF there. So I'm sharing my screen, I'm here in London, clicking on the button, and the PDF opens very quickly. It's all about speed. And that's the beauty that we've got with our own software that we've developed over the years. It's always been about speed. I'm looking at a PDF now. The first thing anyone in production on the call today will notice, there's no crop or bleed. It's a variable in itself. That helps your production workflow. And also we can put ancillary details within that. But the user doesn't need to see that. And as we scroll down, we've got a variable watermark, which can be changed. Okay, we don't want them going down to a high street copy shop and getting a low quality print job that's very expensive. And then we come into the content that I changed, which just happened to be just on this page. It could be on multiple pages. And as I'm dating it, I've got my Greens menu, I've got my call to action where I type the Melbourne menu, and everything else is coming from the spreadsheet. So the position of the data in the spreadsheet has indicated where the text is, what the headline is within there, what the actual product was the imagery that's coming in this relation to that, and the spacing, and then the actual price. So the construct of the document has been made by text only. So if you think about this, price lists, menus, health and safety sheets, product guides, you know, a lot of these opening hours, a lot of these kind of documents, the data is in a data sheet and needs to be used for a print job. So it's a way of making it easier for the customer who just needs to place an order. Their information is in the spreadsheet. They drop it in here, they see what the print job's like, and that's probably saved an hour for someone in the studio, maybe a little bit longer. This is something that I've used many times, and I've run some deals for some of our customers by showing the ability to provide something that's very easy and straightforward for customers. Just going to close the PDF down. I'm happy with that. So I'm going to place an order. I've already saved it. It takes me through to the custom order select page. We come down here. I've got a price for a unit. It's just loaded. I can flip that product through. I've got a little bit of a restricted screen because I'm in presentation mode on Teams here, but I can see the content there as well. And I've got the ability to select a quantity. I select 50 items. It gives me a price on a drop down. It's all predefined. It's managing not only what someone's purchasing, it's managing the price of that item as well as they zoom in. What we also have, we have something called elements where we can change variables around the job. So if we want to have some particular finishing or a different substrate, we can manage that kind of information on here. But what all I'm going to do is I'm going to add that to basket like so. And I've now got 2 products in my basket. Again, I like to look at the difficult things. So I'm going to go back to the home page and look at something different. Now, over the pandemic, we noticed that as people were working from home, printers had a unique opportunity and that they could become the in-office printer or photocopier to manage print jobs. When you're printing a job from home and you're using the multifunction print device or MFP that's at home, it's the most expensive off-brand device known to man. That in itself opened an opportunity with Vpress customers. So what we did was we defined one of our standard products and we created this tool called Job Submission. So Job Submission, you can set up in different profiles for different kinds of products. I've just got one here because it is a demonstration site, and I'm going to go into that. So what you can see here, user upload product, we can brand and style this in a number of different ways. And I'm at step 1. We could say this is your 24-hour job and we can bung on an extra $20 in order to support the costs of what that would entail. But for the purpose of this demonstration, what am I going to do? I'm just going to bring a file off my desktop. Of course, it's a PDF. And I'm just going to drop it on there and the system is going to read that. So it is doing basic pre-flighting of that job to ensure that it can be printing. This is something we're going to be developing further over the coming months, but it's used extensively in a live status at the moment. So what we've got here, we've got one attachment, 16 pages. It's worked out a price in my own currency here as we scroll through, and it's also brought up the thumbnails of those pages. So it's 16 color pages. It's worked out a price. It's not a real price, obviously. And I can also upload multi-part jobs as I add to that. Now, I mentioned just before about elements. This is one element here. So we're capturing the job. As we scroll down, we've got other elements. So step 2, this is an element. I can open that up and I can specify what paper I'm going to use. So I'm going to go for 200 gram because you're worth it. And I'm going to put some premium 300 gram cover. Price is changing based upon the variable I'm amending in an element. So what is an element? An element basically is a library of the things that you do. We're in the process of linking elements up to MIS systems so we can do real-time live price requests. So this is going to take us in a lot of different directions, but it means we're going to be one of the first people to offer real-time pricing for end customers 24/7 directly from the MIS. So as your power, your paper, your substrate, your hourly rates change, it can all be amended within the actual system automatically. But for the purpose of this demonstration, stock option, scrolling down, I'm going to have binding rather than stapled. I'm going to go for perfect bound, and I could change the binding side as well. This is another element. As we're scrolling down here, I could upload some information here if I want to do some mass personalization or some additional information to support this print job. I could do that. I could enter a cost label, or I could come down to the bottom. The price goes down to here, and I don't want to be one of those people who goes in there and says, well, I want to save the company money by ordering 3 and giving it a price of £15.87. I want to get an optimum amount. And if I've got a budget of $1,000, why wouldn't I go $250? And I'm just under budget there with $991.52. So it's giving the customer the ability to get a price. When we use the internet appreciates that, we have the ability to understand if it's expensive or not expensive, if it's in budget or not in budget. And that's one of the things that people have really requested, that instant price. If I'm ordering a job, why do I have to wait for the mysticism of print to come up with something depending on what kind of day they've had? So that's a barrier that we really have to change in the print industry. But what I'm going to do, click on add to the basket, and I've now got 3 products in my basket. Just going to go back to the home page and just order one more. Back in there, and within here, I mentioned we could do VDP. However, I'm very conscious of time and I do talk quite a lot. So within here, I'm going to go back into marketing communications, and Matt mentioned QR code. This is a very old template, and I know there's a couple of people on this call who've seen me demonstrate this template, but as we scroll down, this is an old pharmaceutical A4 trifold invite. So I'm going to go to this one. It's just a great template to show a customer. So we've got the product here, scroll all the way down. We've got Vpress logo, and we've got book there. So I scrolled up here. It's using a standard editor, not so much a dynamic editor, but I'm going to change it, and I'm going to pick in an image and a theme, and I'm applying that to the document. I see a bit of rendering going along there, but the beauty about seeing a PDF on demand is you can see if that rendering is true or not. So let me just type in Matt Murray, and let's just call that the Print Open Day 2023. This really is an old template, but it's quite a powerful one to demonstrate to a customer. So I'm creating a product for Matt, scrolling down there, drop in there. If I just copy his name, so I'm not having to type so much. Let's just correct that spelling there. And as we're scrolling down, I can change an image. So utilizing the DAM. So I can go to the DAM, and what I can do is I can look at images that are available. As would happen here on my desktop, let's just drop one on there. It's quite a large image, so I'm taking it from my desktop, sharing my screen while I'm logged into the system. None of that was too difficult. I can now click on that image, very standard Australian image, and the system's telling me that I can't use it. Why can't I use it? DPI or aspect ratio. The system is placing the image from a basic user perspective. I've got this little button here, works just as well on mobile or tablet. Click on crop, and it will now allow me to crop, managing that DPI and aspect ratio. I don't want to lose the beautiful building in front of me, so let me just make that a little bit bigger and select. It will keep the original image because images are an expensive asset within an organization, but it'll give me the opposite option of the one I've just cropped, and I'll be able to bring that in. So I've now got an image that's optimized for my document. I've got a calendar function because, as I've already mentioned, everybody gets dates wrong. We put in a time. We also offer a free breakfast, a free lunch, and a free dinner. I want to add an image there, and again, I've just used the power of Google to take an image from my desktop. So I've taken the rules off this just so I could utilize this, and as with all good live demos, the image isn't good enough quality. That's all right, because I'm going to select this Pelican logo, one of our new customers, select that and bring that into the document. I don't like the blue and the red there, so I'm going to go back up to the top and put some other colors here. Let's just update that. Now take that to a darker blue, and I'm happy with that. The two blues work. Not an exact match, but it works very well. I did a double-sider, and I did mention about QR codes. So I'm scrolling to the reverse. It carries the branding and the theme across. We can select a location. So I'm going to go Arundel House, and I'm going to put a URL in there. So I'm going to put vpress.com. Update that. And what it's done, it's pulled in the title, it's updated the front page, it's brought in a map that's optimized there for the actual print document. So there's lots of different things I could talk about that map going there, but time is of the essence. And I've got an abbreviated address because the rest of the address is on the front. I've also got a QR code. And if I do change that QR code and update it, it will amend the construct of the QR code. I think there's 68 permutations of a QR code. Once you get the QR codes and barcodes obviously a font, we can support those in a number of different ways. But as I said, this is an abbreviated demo. What I can also do is I can change the address. So I'm going to go Hotel Novotel, and it updates the map, the address, and all the relevant information around that. I'll go back to the front of the page. I'm happy with that. I'm looking at my document. I can look at the PDF. I'm saving that. I'm calling this map 04. I'm ordering that. So several different processes there. There's a reason for everything. We're tracking and recording as things go through. We're coming down here, and we can see some of those elements coming in. So this is delivered in 3 working days. We scroll down here. We can flip through that. Oh, very good. We've got an element here of paper quantity. So let's have that on 300 gram because Matt's worth it. And let's click on here and create that as 250. Updates the price, and I can add to basket like so. So I'm into my basket now. Lots of different things can happen. Very conscious of time. And I'm just going to proceed to check out. We can capture a whole range of different information. All this can be reconfigured, and we've got some updates coming where this is very much changing into a more of an Amazon-esque feel. But we can drop in address books. We can put a little post-it note. Please print now and deliver yesterday. We know how print customers are. We can check that order out. We can have a payment gateway, and the system will take us to a receipt page. So what we've got there, or a web to print company, stop there, order number 1558, and that's fine. And different things can go on authorization and what have you coming through. It's not where Vpress stops. We go a stage further, and if I go into an order report, I can emphasize that. So that order number 1558, you can now see broken up by line item. Within each line item, everything gets a granular tracking code and a status. So these items, you might not be the printer who's printing the large format A1 poster. It may be someone who's doing that work, not in Melbourne, down the road in Sydney. You can manage that. If I want to know what Matt ordered within the report, I can click on that and I can see that job in its entirety. But we can track that information. We can update the status. We can manage authorization and approval. We can manage shipping. We can manage sign-off when it's coming into. And these levels of integration into taxation and shipping providers is only getting better and easier for you to manage. As we're looking down there, if we want to review these items, we can update them, even if somebody doesn't have our system and it's a supplier in Adelaide. This can be updated, or Auckland. The system can be updated by them receiving the actual job that's coming through. If I want to run a filter as the print provider or the customer, I can select a chronological window. If I want to know how many A1 posters Matt's ordered out of the Adelaide office or the Auckland office, I can specify a chronological time frame. I can filter that on a keyword or a title, and I can export that to Excel. People want access to granular tracking and granular information that's going through. Anyone who's worked in a print shop for a number of years ago, you remember we used to have the job bag system, where when customers wanted information towards the end of the financial year, we'd have to go and search that and find it and see where people were. But fortunately, we don't have to do that anymore. And then just concentrating on the clock all the time. There's lots of other things that we can do, but we can do a request for quote. So we can come through here, we can click on there where we've got wraps and banners. So I can upload a job. I can give this a title. Let's call it a mapped RFQ 002. And I want a price for tomorrow. I'm going to give them a bit of time. And as I'm coming down here, it's a large format job that I've selected. We've got elements here. I'm supplying artwork. It's for outdoor. I'm going to go for premium weave material. The size is going to be 6.04. It's all the information you need to provide a quotation for a client. However, there's some advantages. I'm going to go for brass because it's for outdoor and silver doesn't last. Come down here, any special requirements, I'm agreeing to the terms and conditions. So here in the UK, it's 5 a.m. And if I accept the terms and conditions and go back to bed, which is a very good chance that I could do that, and Matt puts a price into the system then is a product that can be ordered, and there's nothing that's going to delay that job going into the production workflow. Scroll down here, I'm asking Matt for a price for 1, I'm asking for a price for 12, and if he's really good on his pricing, I'm going to go for 240. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to submit that for quotation. Now, a clock could be ticking. I've got my large format profile job here. I've got a summary of the information that I've ordered. I get a receipt to let me know that's happened. A colleague of mine is on the call, Daniel. I could click on share, could share that with Daniel so he knows what I've done in case this is a project we're working on. If I've got some other like-for-like jobs that I want, I can duplicate this and create a very simple another RFQ. And if I edit it, then it will reset the clock before Matt has a chance to put a price in it. So this is semi-automated request for quote. What we're doing at the moment is we're mapping those elements, those factors around the job into various different MIS systems in order to get a real-time price. And that is something that we should have by the end of this year with some of the larger MIS providers. But MIS is definitely a subject that's more Matt than it is Kelv. So, and I've created an RFQ. And as soon as that, if I wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning and I'm on my way into work, I'll get a message on my phone. Matt's put a price in there because he's super efficient. And I'll go in there and I'll be able to order that as a product because I've already signed the terms and conditions. So the delay of getting it onto press has been taken away and the missing of price has been eradicated. Then very quickly, I'm going to cover off one of the new things. We've got a whole bunch of new things that are coming through. That we've got updating. We've got a new user interface, which I'm not going to have time to show you today, but we will all very happily show you the new user interface, which is huge for us at the moment. It's just gone. The reception has been fantastic. What we've been asked to do by some large global brands that we all know, we've been asked to create virtual print items. These are not to take jobs away from the press. What we're seeing in Europe and North America, and I think we're seeing in Australia as well, but Matt, rather than people ordering 250 and 500 business cards, we're seeing people ordering 100 or 200. So what we've done by request is we've created a virtual business card. So I could share a business card with you online here today, and I could go through and I could create that. So it's a business card I'm ordering from my web to print product and I'm sending through to my mobile phone. Let me just click on there. Let me just look at the items. Scrolling through. There's a picture. Let's just select that in. And as we come through, we can drop that in there. And I'm very conscious of time. So I could create that. I'm creating a V card, me card. I can send that to someone's mobile phone. If I just do this very sales and then just drop it in a telephone number. And finally, just an email, and then you'll see the magic of it. So I'm creating that, creating my V card very quickly, updated the QR code at the bottom, clicking on next. Let's just call that Matt05 for wanting uniqueness and continuity. And then I can choose to deliver that by email address, or I can deliver it by telephone number. So I can send it straight to Matt's phone. And that's something that we've been asked to develop in order to seize on an opportunity within customers who want to, they're selling print to them, but they're selling less print to them. But this is a way you could utilize web to print to obtain a revenue stream in addition to the print revenue stream that's already there. And I really am running out of time now. So what I'm just going to do, I'm going to come back to this slide now. I'm going to scroll through and I'm just going to hand over the summary to Matt.
Thanks, Kelvin. That was great. Really appreciate that. Not sure how I feel about you exposing my real age as 55, but we can talk about that offline. That's fine. So just to finish up, again, good news. So 12th biggest economy with 7.6 billion in the print market. There is work out there. I know I speak to a lot of printers about this all the time. And as I said before, it can sound a bit doom and gloom if you read the trade magazines, but there is plenty of work out there, especially if you've got systems to be able to work with your customers really closely with. Customers waiting to buy online out of hours. I think something that Kelvin highlighted in that demonstration was the PDF upload. So the user upload with elements. That's really important for being able to offer that to your clients to get a price any time of day or night based off of their file. I think that's fantastic. Web to print is a proven given competitive advantages. I think we've covered that well and truly through this demo in the session. Automation efficiencies for printers to survive. I'm sure everyone on this call understands the importance of automation, especially given where print has gone. Typically, it's lower runs, lower quantity runs, doing more jobs a day you need to be more efficient with that work. That's a bit of a no-brainer now. And we're here to help. So my email address, you'll all have it. If you don't, I'll get it through to you. I think we might have it on a screen there, Kelvin, as well as Kelvin's. If you need to know anything about the Europe or UK market or want to pick Kelvin's brain, by all means, go ahead. Otherwise, I'm here to answer any queries, and I've got the team here in New Zealand as well to answer any questions you may have. Cool.
So
We've got a
this is
few
the bit.
questions, Kelvin. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm just saying this is the bit that we weren't sure how it was going to pan out. So this is the last couple of minutes. If anybody's got any questions, our colleague Daniel here is here to receive them as well. So you can type any questions in the Q&A. So I've just seen one that's come in. Can my client have products on the site that I do not print? How does that work? Great question. Yes, you can. It's an online portal. We can take those products. You can take those products. You can upload them from a spreadsheet if they're just line items. They can be stock items. I didn't cover that off because, you know, I talk too much, and you know, I have to manage my words. So I covered off some headlines there. But yeah, you can have products. Your printers in your area or in other areas could be your sub-suppliers. Big headline, guess what? Printers are the new print management company. Print management has dominated the world over, and quite rightly so, because printers weren't competing where they should have been competing. But printers have caught up in the last decade, and printers are now the new print managers. So you can have products, promotional workwear, vignettes, lanyards, all that kind of stuff. You can put that on the system, and the system is an e-commerce portal. Just as you've got the virtual business card, you can put other items that are going to other suppliers, and you can make money on that. And that is something that is very common as well. So I've got another one from Doug. What are the artwork templates based on, InDesign or PDF? Good question. I like these questions. So there is no ingestation of artwork. You can't take InDesign and all of a sudden create a web to print template. There's a couple of companies in the market who say, oh yeah, you can. Right, that is rubbish, because I shouldn't be so critical as well, apologies for that, but what you've got to do, one's a desktop publishing application, one's a web to print application. It's a database where you've got lots of variable information that needs to be managed within that. So we've created something called Core Create. It's a proprietary application. We've developed it, we've updated it. Was in the office yesterday. We're constantly updating it. We train you to use that, and you can use that. So you can put in a PDF and you can amend that. Obviously, you know, there's parameters around a PDF you have to manage, because a PDF could be anything. But you can bring that into the system, and you can build your own rules. The beauty of that is, rather than bring lots of InDesign files and manually amend each one, you can create a template with company rule, fonts, color management, and image management. And then you can apply that to different canvas sizes within Core Create. So you can build a whole suite of tools very easy and very efficiently. And people do as well. So hopefully that answers your question. We've just gone over 2 minutes. I think there's a couple of questions there, but we will send answers out in the post. So as we scroll through to the last page, myself and Matt have really enjoyed this. I've enjoyed getting up super early in the morning to speak to you. We're on LinkedIn. You've got our email addresses there. You'll probably get a link followed up by Daniel, who's also on the call today. Really appreciate you guys joining us today. Matt, any last and final words?
No, but thank you everyone for joining, and Kelvin, thank you for that. Really appreciate you taking us through the demonstration. I think there's probably a couple of people on the session who are looking forward to seeing the new UI. So Kelvin, I might grab some details from you for login details for the sample site, and I'll reach out to those people separately and take them through a little demo. But yeah, other than that, that was great. Thank you, Kelvin. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks very much.